So let me tell you a story about this thing called the Scholastic Amplitude Test, or as you might know it, the SAT. So apparently some dude named Robert Yerkes makes this IQ test for the US Army during World War One. Then in 1933, some guy named James Bryan Conant becomes the president of Harvard, says, let's use this for our students, and the rest is history. Not for nothing, but this same Harvard president was helping the US develop poisonous gas back during World War One. Now, whether that's relevant or not, who knows, but the fact that the same sick bastard who made colleges use the SAT was also combining chemicals to kill people doesn't exactly surprise me. Anyways, now it's a great source of stress for just about all the confused and immature high schoolers of America. I mean, I guess the test makes sense if you're wondering who's more intelligent between some 4.0 student named Randy, who goes to public school in rural Arkansas, or the 4.0 student named Eugene, who goes to some posh boarding school in New Hampshire. But who it doesn't make sense for is that 4.0 student who's also the class president in the school band and the valedictorian, who's quote-unquote not a great test taker, so can't get into Harvard. But I digress. I, too, was tasked with taking the SAT. In the winter of my junior year, I took the test for the first time, got a dog shit score. Then I take the test again in the spring and do good but not great. Fast forward to the beginning of my senior year, and now I'm starting to apply to college. My dad sits me down one day and says something along the lines of, I think we should get you a tutor for the SAT. Your score isn't as good as it could be, and you want to be able to get into some good schools. And so I told him, yeah, I totally agree, I'm in. So for 10 straight Mondays in the fall of senior year, I'd meet with an SAT tutor. So I'd go to the tutoring sessions, but then I'd go study or do whatever homework was that the tutor gave me. I'd have flashcards and this thick textbook that I do all the work in that was just all this SAT stuff. I'd take the practice tests, then check the back of the book to see how I did. Sometimes it was good, sometimes it was not, but overall my score was climbing. So the 10 weeks ends and I go in to take the test feeling great. 10 weeks of tutoring was about to get me the new shining score. I walked out as confident as I walked in and could hardly wait for the 2 weeks until our scores were released. This would be my big moment, and I'd have a chance at all these schools. So results come out, and I see my score went up a measly 10 points. So then I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I'm going to fucking scream. But the 5 stages of grief came and went pretty quickly, and by the end of that day, the mindset became, that test was bullshit. I know I can do better, and I'm going to take it again. Study anywhere and everywhere, and I'll give it another shot. So that's what I did. My bedroom, coffee shops, every corner of the library until I drove myself nuts. It got so bad that I got a number in my head of what I wanted to score and wrote it fucking over and over and over, thinking I could manifest this score by seeing it enough times. So I go in to take this test now for the 4th time. And it's now gotten to that point where the kids in there with me are stressing out because it's their first time taking the test. But I'm just sort of like, all right, come on, let's get this over with. So I got in, I filled out the bubbles, and I got out. Now I'm thinking, I had to have crushed that. I just worked too hard to have not crushed it. So I keep saying that number over and over again until I get the new results. 2 weeks later, I rush to the computer to see what I got, and now I was just devastated. 10 weeks of tutoring and a shitload of studying for just 20 points. It'd be like if LeBron James scored 20 points against a middle school team. I mean, it's fine, but as the LeBron of that situation, it's slightly fucking disappointing. My parents were helpful, though, saying how, I tried my hardest and that's what mattered. And, honestly, I agreed. Kind of started to accept my score and be proud of the work I put in and get over it. So then I'm applying to the University of California in Los Angeles, filling out all my information into a database for what feels like the 100th time. When I see this question asking for my SAT score as well as the score I got on the additional essay portion. Well, the essay portion was optional, and in my 4 tests, I didn't once take it. But now UCLA is telling me I have to, and because I want to go to film school in LA, I gotta do it. So now, as soon as I came to terms with my score, I gotta try again. So as much as that sucks, I go ahead and I take it for a 5th time. All I wanted this time was to just take the test, so I had an essay score and wanted the test score to be right around the last 3 times I took it. I figured how hardly could that be. So then I take it. Again, I'm kind of just like, let's get this over with, but of course it takes longer because I had to write the essay too. But I took the test and didn't feel good or bad about it, just filled out bubbles again. I almost forgot about the results when the 2 weeks went by this time around. But so I hop on my computer again to check, and so to conclude, I think the lesson is that even though I never actually got into UCLA, I think I still owe them one.